In this episode of American Greed, Darren Berg promises big returns investing in real estate, but he's running a $140 million fraud. It's a massive crime that ensnares even a best-selling crime writer.
How dare you? How could you be such a low-life scum?
Berg's lies and clever sleight of hand fund the purchase of a mansion, 2 private jets, and 2 yachts. But when Bernie Madoff falls, Berg falls too.
Everybody's getting nervous. People want their money back. He doesn't have it, though, because he spent it on buses, he spent it on yachts, he spent it on planes.
And later, Dina Wein Reis is a Manhattan socialite with a fine art collection worth tens of millions.
She loved the money, she loved the splash, the limelight, she loved it.
But Reis makes her millions running a scam, employing sexy sales girls to entrap male executives.
Bait and switch. At the end of the day, that's what it is. It's purely a bait and switch.
Reis's employees say she's the boss from hell, but one day they get their revenge.
She treated people poorly, and when push came to shove, she had no friends.
Inside a gleaming granite and glass tower in downtown Seattle, real estate fund manager Darren Berg gives a sales pitch to his well-heeled investors.
For those of you who are in our various mortgage funds, just a little history, who we are, what we do, and most importantly, how we find the deals that we do.
Some people in the audience are impressed that Berg lives in a lavish mansion on Lake Washington and keeps not 1, but 2 yachts.
He was well-dressed, he had a spacious office. He just wanted you to feel, when you walked into his office, that you were dealing with somebody who was extremely successful.
If you look like you're rolling in money, people think you know how to make money, and so they're more inclined to trust your statements that I can invest your money and get you a good return.
The promise of a good return, even in the wake of the financial crisis.
Somebody asked me here tonight how I was doing, and I said, I'm actually having fun in this economy. People are like, this guy's like masochist. The reason I'm having fun in this economy is because there's nothing funner than being right. There is nothing more fun than being right.
Darren Berg will eventually end up in the big house, but he starts his life of crime allegedly in an animal house. It's the era of big hair and tube socks. And Darren Berg pledges the fraternity of Pi Kappa Alpha, also known as Pike, at the University of Oregon. Like many fraternities, the Pike brothers care as much about having a good time as they do about managing money. But Berg, who is elected treasurer, is a sobering presence. He promises to get Pike's financial act together, according to Mike Stone, who serves as alumni advisor to the fraternity.
He was just sort of a ball on fire. He was very, very articulate young man. You know, the saying, you only have one chance to make your first impression. Well, he was absolutely superb at that.
As treasurer, Berg has control of the purse strings, and he seems responsible with money. Though he's just 20, he owns and runs his own business, a charter bus company called Darren Berg Tours.
He looked like the golden boy.
But just a few weeks into fall semester, after Berg collects rent from his brothers, Mike Stone gets a phone call from the fraternity's landlord. The rent hasn't been paid. Concerned, Stone stops by the house to have a look at Pike's checking account.
First thing I saw was that the September bank statement didn't have any deposits on it. And supposedly we'd collected $15,000, $16,000. So that was the first concern.
Stone asks Berg why the checks haven't been deposited.
He got irate and defensive and ordered us out of his room. And at that point in time, I took the financial records with me, because by that point, there wasn't just warning flags, there was bells and whistles going off at that point.
When Stone runs the numbers, a total of $21,000 is missing. Where did it go? Stone believes it went straight to the bus company.
All he did was, he's got a check that's written out to Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity, and he endorses the check Darren Berg and deposits it into Darren Berg Tours' bank account.
To Stone, it looks like his golden boy has made off with the gold. He calls the district attorney in Lane County, the jurisdiction around Eugene.
They didn't think it was worth trying to pursue or prosecute. White-collar crime wasn't that flashy in the 80s, and this wasn't a lot of dollars in the great picture of life, so they just weren't interested in pursuing it.
The Lane County DA tells American Greed that they have no records on Darren Berg and cannot say why charges were not pursued in 1983. Stone never sees Berg again, but a few days later, he receives a letter signed Darren F. Berg.
A word for the record, I have at no time ever embezzled any funds from the Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity. What an erroneous assumption. If for some reason, however, you should have any questions, I suggest you direct them to my attorney. He's paid good money to answer stupid questions, and I'm sure he'll be happy to answer yours. Seriously? Do you think this is going to be convincing? He could talk you into anything face to face, damn near. But the letter was really kind of childish. That letter was the last communication I ever received from Darren, ever. He just vanished from town.
Berg moves north to Portland, and he enters the advertising business. But trouble follows, or maybe he brings it with him. In 1987, the U.S. attorney in Portland indicts Berg on bank fraud charges. He's accused of stealing $19,000 from a Portland bank in a check-kiting scheme.
This was a real crossroads for Darren. I mean, he's been accused of financial crime as fraternity, and now he's accused of bank fraud. And he's looking at doing some serious time.
But Berg catches a break. He pleads guilty and gets no prison time.
He's on probation. He has to attend some counseling, basically. He got off very easy.
Berg packs up and heads north on I-5 once again and settles in Seattle. Here, he launches a fraud so epic, it shows that his previous work is truly child's play. Up next, Darren Berg's strange, lifelong obsession with buses.
A lot of boys want to grow up to be firefighters or football players. Berg wanted to grow up to be a bus driver.
It's a passion and a money pit that makes his victims boil over.
My reaction is entirely inappropriate for a woman of my years. I want to jump out of the car and key it from the front of the bus to the back of the bus. How dare you? How could you be such a low-life scum?
In Seattle, Darren Berg establishes a company he calls the Meridian Group. It's a real estate fund that purports to invest in the so-called private mortgage market. What's a private mortgage? It's selling real estate without involving a bank. Suppose an individual wants to buy a home but has bad credit. One option is for the home seller to finance the sale. The seller transfers the title to the buyer, and the buyer writes a note, basically an IOU, to the seller. The seller gets a monthly check from the buyer, just like a mortgage company.
Typically, you find these in rural areas where somebody wants to buy some farmland, for instance, and they can't get a loan from a bank. So the person selling the farmland agrees to hold the note. They're going to finance it for you, and they're going to receive the stream of payments in exchange for typically a higher interest rate.
The seller's monthly income is spread out over years. And sometimes the seller wants to cash out of the deal. That's where Darren Berg's Meridian Group comes in.
Mr. Berg was in the business of seeking these people out and offering them a lump sum to buy the note. So he would buy the mortgage and at a discount and then begin to receive the payments on it.
Stacy Keach here, feeling greedy for more videos like this one? Then be sure to like and subscribe right here on CNBC Prime.